Welcome to Spiritual Truths with your host, Kerry-Marie. Today, I'm very excited to have with me a lovely gentleman called Callum. And this podcast is from addiction to freedom. This would be particularly interesting for anybody that has a family or a friend who has addiction problems, or also someone who's actually currently been affected by addiction, was an addict themselves. There's absolutely no judgment. And Callum will share his personal story with us today about how he was an addict to various substances, his relapses, and his journey through that, and now how he actually works in a rehab centre in Warkworth and how he can help other people, and what his spiritual truth is, which is around hope. Not only that, this will be a particular interest of anybody who loves the spiritual world and interested in messages from Spirit, because a lovely message came from the Spirit world to Callum at the end of this podcast. Along with this, I gave him a card that was quite relatable from Messages from Spirit cards, which you can actually purchase through my website, kerry-marie.co.nz, if you go to contact me, along with my book, Breaking Free, which talks about my personal journey about breaking free so you can fully live who you want to be. If you'd also like to book a reading with me, you can also book through kerry-marie.co.nz. We'd love you to be part of our journey and our spiritual truths in this podcast, so please like this podcast and also remember to subscribe, whether it's on YouTube or on Spotify. Blessings and love, Kerry-Marie. Hi, Callum. Welcome to Spiritual Truths.
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. I'm really pleased that you've come here today. It's fantastic, and I'm sure you've got a lot to offer other people. So this is the first time I've actually met you in person.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. So how I came about meeting you is through your mum. So your mum came along for a reading, and quite often people want to know about their children or their family, but you just came, I think, pretty naturally in the reading, and she spoke about you. And then I thought, wow, would he be interested in doing a podcast with me, because I really feel you've got a lot to offer the world through your own experiences in your own life. So thank you so much for coming along. It's great.
You're welcome. Good to be here.
Oh, great. So Callum, if you can just tell us a bit about yourself. I understand you've had addictions and you're now working in a rehab centre. Your mum told me that. So could you just tell me a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, I think I've battled with addiction most of my life from a young age, even with sugar. I used to steal condensed milk and sugar from the pantry from about the age of 4. I had a normal upbringing and, a good family. I wasn't abused or anything. And I don't know, from about the age of 13, 14, I discovered alcohol and cannabis and basically used those throughout my life to sort of numb emotions and feelings. And yeah, I first came into AA and NA about 12 years ago, when
Right.
everyone around me thought that I had a problem with alcohol,
Yes.
but I didn't recognise it myself. And my sister took me along to an AA meeting, and I got some days up, 30 odd days sober, and that was my first time in recovery. But at that stage, I was doing it for all the wrong reasons. I was doing it to get people off my back, keep my family happy, and never doing it for myself.
Right. Yeah.
And yeah, I went along that path for about 6 years, sort of getting 30, 60 days up, getting people off my back, and then I'd go back out there and mess things up again. And it wasn't until about 7 years ago when I had proposed to the mother of my children, and I was meant to be clean and sober. She caught me drinking and drugging and gave me back the engagement ring. And not long after that, I was drinking with a good friend of mine, and he actually hung himself.
Oh my goodness.
And yeah, so from there, I thought that was a rock bottom for me. And I basically handed my job in and went on a 3-month bender, not wanting to live really.
Yeah.
And I put myself into a public rehab facility, a place called Higher Ground,
Yes.
and did a 4-month program there. and from there I did the 4 month program, went into their sober living facility, and got about 18 months clean and sober up. But again, I wasn't doing it for my own well-being. I was doing it to get
Mm,
my kids back, and
mm,
yeah, to keep people happy. Whereas what I've
yes.
discovered now on my journey is I've got to do it for myself,
Mm,
and anything I put before my recovery, I'll lose. So
mm.
I got a new partner in my last recovery, and I was clean and sober when I met her, and then one day she said to me, "Oh, maybe you're not an alcoholic," and it was my excuse to pick up a drink, and from there it formed like a 3 year relapse, and
Wow.
through that
Just one drink.
I picked up one drink, and then within a couple of days I
Wow.
was drinking daily, and then back to using cannabis, and I've also had a meth addiction,
Wow.
but yeah, it went on for 3 years, and I'm actually just settling a divorce now. I ended up with criminal convictions and all sorts, so today I'm 605 days sober,
Well done.
and yeah, working at a alcohol facility in Warkworth.
Mm-hmm.
And the difference today is that I'm doing it for me. You know, I have to do
Yes.
it for myself and be comfortable with my skin and want to do it, and then everything else seems to follow behind that.
So it must be like a one of the questions I have for you. This must be a day by day decision. It's not like you can't just say I'm clean. When you say this is a day by day decision.
Definitely, I get up every day, and I'm not a religious person, but in our program we use a God of our own understanding, and I pray every
Yes.
morning for a sober day, sober clean day.
Oh,
And yeah, I do a lot of AA and NA meetings and stuff, but yeah, it's definitely a day by day thing. I can't say that I'll be clean and sober forever,
yeah.
but if I do the suggested things on a daily basis, I think that I find it works for me. And I've prayed for a sober day today. I'm pretty sure I'll go to bed tonight and put my head on the pillow, being clean and sober.
So do you ever get tempted? Like, yeah, it's a day by day decision. Is there times you think, oh my goodness, stuff it, I'll just do something, take something. Do you get
Definitely.
tempted?
You have things in life. I think they say there's triggering things, but I think for an alcoholic or addict, waking up life in general is a trigger.
Right,
And there is certain things, like if my son got expelled from school a few days ago, and my
right.
first thought is to go and drink or drug to stop these feelings. And
Okay.
and I do. I reach out. I've got a sponsor and good friends in recovery that I reach out to, and I think there's a big thing talking about it.
Yes.
A problem shared's a problem halved, they say. So if I
Mm,
do get triggered and have a desire to go and drink or drug, I will ring someone straight away,
mm-hmm.
talk about it, keep myself accountable.
Mm.
So yeah,
So that's really good to know that because it's not like, oh, I'm going to give up. I'm just clean. That's a day by day decision. But the fact is that you're still going to be tempted, and
definitely.
temptation's not the sin. And so I guess it comes down to having the things in your toolbox that you got someone you can talk to. This is what you do. This is how
Yep.
you do it. Like, yeah, you've got this toolbox. It's something you've got to live with your whole life.
Day to day basis.
It's a
Yep.
day by day basis.
Yeah. And I use prayer and meditation a lot. Like I do breathing meditations to just
Yes,
sort of regulate, keep
yes,
myself grounded.
yeah.
But yeah,
So what was your turning point? Like you sort of said, I was going to say you must have had times, and I'm sure this is really hard for addicts and families of addicts as well. So the addict thinks they've been clean for so long. Um, then the family thinks they're clean, and they go backwards. It goes back and forth. I know people that have been through this
yep.
myself. What was it that triggered that time when you had that aha moment? Like that's it. I'm going to change my life.
I believe about 2 years ago, my wife left me, and I
Mm-hmm.
was on some charges for cannabis cultivation and drink driving, etc. And I was at that stage of I was suicidal,
Right.
and I I had a moment one day of just I didn't want to live, but I didn't want to die.
Right.
And I've got two beautiful children, and I was sitting there with my dog, and I was in bed isolating, drinking, and he just kept nudging me to take him for a walk. And yeah, I hadn't been out for days, and I just sort of had this, okay, I've got to get up and do this. And I reached out to a rehab facility that day,
Yes.
and
And
from
that was yourself. You did it for yourself.
had to do it for me. Yep.
Right. That's so important,
I
isn't
had
it?
family members saying, "Look, you've got to do this, or you're going to die." But it had to come from within me.
Yes.
And yeah, I made that call, and from there, that's where this journey in recovery's gone.
It's interesting because I know someone who's been through this, who's been clean for many years,
Yes.
and he regularly goes to meetings for NA.
Yep.
He's a friend of my husband's. And throughout my readings and doing things like that, this often happens. I get someone who's an addict, they come and see me,
Yes.
or someone that knows an addict. And I used to reach out to him, and he used to say to me, well, this has to be a decision that they have to make themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, and over that time, there's been several people I've given his phone number, but not many have reached out to him because it has to be a decision from them.
That's right. Yeah.
It's the biggest thing, isn't it?
And that's a lot of families will put their children or loved ones into a rehab facility, but
Yes.
they'll do the 30-day program, think they're fixed, go back out there and do it, because they're not doing it for themselves, they're doing it for their family or to get
Yeah.
people off their back.
So
Yeah.
that really is a key, isn't it?
100%. Yeah.
That's what it always comes to yourself.
Yes.
You've got to want to do yourself. So I'm just
Yep.
going to see here. So you have no idea why you think you became an addict in the first place. It's just something you had an addictive nature or personality.
Yeah, I don't know. I believe I was born an addict. I'm not sure,
Right.
but
Yes.
everyone's got different theories on it. But yeah, like my drinking was never to enjoy the alcohol. It was for the effect,
Right.
you know. And once I start, I don't stop. I don't have an off button.
Right. So you're an addictive personality. You think you're born with this.
I believe so. Yeah, like I'll pick up a drink and tell myself I'm having one drink, and then 3 days later I'm on a meth binge. You know,
Right.
it can take me anywhere. I just do not have an off button once I start.
Well, that's interesting because I think sometimes people think, oh, it's been caused through broken
Trauma.
families or trauma or abuse. There's a reason behind it. We're searching for a reason, but not necessarily. This is really interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
So don't blame yourself or don't blame your upbringing. It could be, that could be,
yeah,
that could
something
be
could
part of
trigger
it, but it could just be you've just got the DNA. It's
Yeah,
genetic.
that's it.
Yes. Was anybody in your family that you know?
Yeah, I've got alcoholism through my family.
Right, yeah.
And I'm left-handed. I'm not sure, but I've done some research, and left-handed people tend to have more of a tendency to addiction.
Isn't it interesting?
Yeah, my
I've
nana
never heard
was
that.
left-handed, and I believe she was alcoholic.
Yes, because I felt her
Yeah,
around you, definitely,
right.
coming in,
Yeah,
your grandmother, and I felt that she's got a message for you. We'll come back to that later, but she's here because I feel that she's really proud of you.
nice.
Yeah, so I picked a card, and but I also feel there's a grandfather as well, both of them.
Both grandfathers.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
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 Yeah. And I think they're connected and they've got a message. I think the message from I picked for you is from your grandmother.
Right.
Isn't it interesting? So, yeah, and I think it has come through the family, through the ages. I'm just hearing through the ages.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's interesting. So, okay. So it's a personal journey. So what does it feel like for you now to be actually clean?
I feel free. Today I feel free. Like throughout my life, I have woken up daily and my first thought is, where's my next drink or drug?
Wow.
You know, and I've worked throughout my life, but I've always used to get through. And today I wake up, I'm not in the clutch of that.
Right.
You know, it's not my first thought of, have I got anything left? Have I got a drink left? Have I got a bag of drugs left? Today I can wake up, do my prayer and meditation, and be grateful for what I've got and not having that dependency on a drug or drink.
Isn't that wonderful?
It's amazing, yeah. You know,
So how did it take long for you to get to that point?
as I say, I'm 20 months clean, and I think the first 6 to 9 months was the hardest.
Right.
And I still, as I say, I still have daily triggers and have thoughts, but it gets easier and easier as time goes on. Yeah.
That's what, but triggers and thoughts, that's what I say to people that have anxiety, because I feel some people suffer from anxiety or even depression, that
Yep.
sort of thing, that it doesn't mean the anxiety is going to go away.
No.
It doesn't mean that the depression goes away, but you may find some tools for it or something that can help you. So it's something you sort of carry through your own life.
Yes,
Yeah. And I think everybody's got their weaknesses, to be honest.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think, but that must be wonderful for you that you don't think about the morning. I wake up and I don't think, where's my next hit coming from?
That's it.
You have other thoughts. That must be amazing. So you do a gratitude and a meditation and a prayer every morning?
Yes, I do. Yep. And
Mm, mm.
I used to drive around and just my head would count the bottle shops I was driving past. Today I don't even see them, which is,
Wow.
and
Wow.
throughout the day I might have thoughts of picking up, but it's it's a thought that comes and goes. I don't
Yes.
sit on it and just let it consume me.
Oh, fantastic. So do
Mm.
you ever have situations socially? So socially, when it's a wedding or something, it's at Christmas time, people are drinking. How does that affect you?
Um, the Christmas just been, I went to a family function and
Mm,
they were having a glass of bubbles and stuff, and I have to play the tape forward of I can't just have that one because I know it'll lead
mm,
to a bottle, it'll lead to
mm,
who
mm,
knows where it will take me, to a jail cell probably at the end of the day.
mm.
And
It's
so
massive.
yeah, so it's doing it for myself really.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, if you're doing it for yourself. So obviously you sort of think about the consequences. That's what it sounds like
yeah.
to me. Think about the consequences. So you go back to, gosh, if I have that one drink, so yeah, that way it's going to set me back, and I have to go through all that again, and it's just got the consequences are huge and massive for me, aren't they?
Oh yeah, if I picked up today, tomorrow my kids wouldn't want to be in my life, my job would be gone. I'm living in a sober house with two sober people, so I'd lose my accommodation
Mm,
and
mm.
I'd basically be on the streets for picking up that one drink.
So you found that you've changed your friends, like you got different
Definitely,
friends,
yep.
right?
I still keep in
Yeah.
touch with old friends and go to some events, but make sure I've got a
Mm.
good exit plan. I'll take my own car if things are getting out of hand. Like people still I went to a event a while ago and they're like, "Oh, you're not drinking, but you could have a line of coke, couldn't you?" And
Oh
it's like,
no.
for me, if I pick up anything, it's the start of the end, really. Yeah,
Yes.
and people don't get that.
So it's a form of peer pressure.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
and it's the modern day world. Like people
Mm.
are drinking and drugging. It's a big social thing.
Mm.
So yeah, I'll go along. I'll have a non-alcoholic drink and stay there until I'm uncomfortable, and then I need to get out. I
Mm.
know when I need to go now.
I mean, I'm not an, I haven't had the same issues, but I know people that have, and that one of my friends died from alcoholism, which
Mm.
is really sad. And I remember when she obviously was an addict, thinking back now, is that she tried to pressurize me. Like I find people that have got that problem, if they try to pressurize you, so if, to make themselves feel better, do you think will make it acceptable within their own mind?
Oh,
Or does it
definitely.
quite, yeah,
Yeah, I'd try and find people that drank or
yes,
drugged on my level, so I didn't feel so bad about my
right,
own addictions.
right.
Yeah, so and you end up with these group of people that you wouldn't generally hang around with, but they drink and drug to the same level you do. So yeah, it sort of lowers your standards, I think.
Yeah, so no one actually holds you accountable.
That's
And
it.
and I think peer pressure is a huge thing.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yep.
Mm.
Especially with the alcohol. Yeah.
Yeah, with a peer pressure is
Yeah.
massive. Just have one,
You
just
just
have
have
one
one.
sort of
Yeah.
thing. And so, what do you think the pressures of society are for you generally?
The pressures of society.
Well, the expectation, or basically the fact that you are an addict and how society sees that.
Well, I'm a builder by trade,
Right.
and I think the drinking culture goes huge
It
in that
does.
industry,
Mm.
and for a long time, in my last recovery, when I got nearly 18 months up, I went back to building and I thought I'd be able to cope with it. But when I said I'm not drinking,
Mm.
people look at you differently. They do, they judge you, and then they want to know why. And
Yes.
today, I'm happy to say I'm an alcoholic in recovery. But
Right.
for a lot of my previous recovery, it was a stigma. I felt uncomfortable with it. I
Yes.
was embarrassed about it.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. That's what I mean by that. The society judges you. Oh, you're
Judges
an
you, yeah,
addict.
yeah.
Yes.
But today, it's like I'm doing something about it, and I've, yeah, I'm looking at the addiction of there's a solution today.
Yeah.
Before it was like I'm an alcoholic. What do alcoholics do? They drink. So I would
Yes.
drink.
Yeah.
Today I know there's a solution, and if I work with the solution, I'll get the results of
Yeah.
having my kids in my life, having a good job. Yeah,
So you're proud of the fact that you've had this and you've come out of it and you've owned it.
it's taken me a long time, but yeah, I can say I am today.
Yes. Well,
Yeah,
well done. Because
mm,
even like doing this podcast and putting your face out there
yeah,
and saying, I'm an addict, I'm an alcoholic, and this is who I am, and I've achieved this.
Yes.
You're owning it. I think that actually helps, and it does give other people a lot of hope as well. I think doing that,
Yeah.
there's always hope.
Well, the honesty and openness is a massive part, and
Mm,
being self-honest,
yeah,
So yeah,
and
and
self-reliable.
yep, yeah.
Self-reliable. So you're in rehab. So you can just tell us about that. What you do in rehab?
I'm actually studying mental health and addiction,
Oh,
level 4 mental health and
fantastic.
peer support. So
Yeah,
I'm not
yeah.
sure. I think I'd like to go on to do my counsellor's degree in that field.
Mm,
But at the moment, yeah, I work at a private rehab in Warkworth. We have a clientele of 14 at a time,
mm,
and so I basically just work with them. I run I'll do my experience, strength and hope, which is a group where I'll tell my story to try and
mm,
give the people that are coming
mm,
the hope to be able to do it. If I can do it, anyone can, I
mm,
believe.
mm.
Um, and then we have a sober living community up there of
Right,
6 houses in Warkworth, and I'm the sober living manager. So we've got about 20 people in the community that check
right.
in with me weekly, and I run a weekly meeting,
Mm,
and that's just for them to integrate back into the real world
right.
after they've done the treatment.
Is that
Yeah.
part of NA, is it? Or
No, that's just through the retreat where I work.
right,
So yeah, they can do a 30-day in-house program and then go into our sober living community and then
great.
integrate back into the real
Oh,
world.
so it's a process,
Yeah,
which is what you really need,
you
isn't
don't
it?
have to do it. You can just do the 30 days and then go
Awesome.
back to life.
Yeah, yeah.
Or if you'd like to do more, you can do the sober living side of it as well. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, wow, fantastic. That's
Yeah.
fantastic. Yeah, so that's sort of available for other people as well.
Yes.
So also one thing I've heard from you, and I've heard from other people who had addiction problems, is that they have these meetings, don't they? And the results are really important. It's really important to go to these week by week meetings, even like internationally. It doesn't have to be like be in New Zealand or nationally. It's international, isn't it?
It is. Yeah. So being an addict, I'm an alcoholic through and through. It's usually
Yes.
the first thing I'll pick up, but I'm also an addict using cannabis and amphetamines, whatever it's been in the past. So I use AA and NA, Alcoholics
Right,
Anonymous
both.
and
You
Narcotics.
do both.
I do
Wow.
both, yeah. So I do about 4 meetings a week generally, and I'll mix them up. I do a couple of AA, a couple of NA.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's an hour long meeting, 12-step based, and yeah, I suppose it makes you a part of,
Mm.
and that was a big thing. I used to go along to these meetings, go in and sort of hide, be there for the hour,
Oh.
bail out, and now
Mm.
I'm happily a member of AA and NA,
Mm.
and I'm there to, if anything, help the newcomer. If they
Yes.
hear my story and see that I'm doing it, it gives them hope.
Mm.
And I think that's what I'm doing with my life, trying to give people hope.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And what would you say to somebody that's relapsed?
I've been there, and I think the best thing to do is take accountability for yourself and get back to a meeting.
Right.
Ring your
Okay.
sponsor or talk. The longer you leave it, the harder it makes it to get back. But there's no judgment. There's so much relapse throughout addiction and alcoholism that
Mm.
we don't judge you. You
Yeah, I
know,
think that's the biggest thing that I see for an addict is that the judgment and the guilt.
yeah. And the public and your family and stuff, they might judge you, but in the rooms of AA and NA, there's no judgment.
Mm.
We're here to make you feel a part of and show you that yes, people have relapse, but there is a chance, and you can go on to get clean and sober.
So as an addict,
Yeah.
that judgment of family or society, other people, how can they deal with that? Because that must be very hard.
How can the family deal with it?
No, how can the addict deal with it?
Yeah, it's a tough one
It's a
because
really tough one.
a lot of people, the family, people that aren't alcoholics or addicts will just say, just put it down, just don't have another drink. And if it
Right.
was that easy, there wouldn't be the rehabs, there wouldn't be AA and NA.
Yes, yes.
So, yeah, I think being a part of a fellowship where people are on the same journey, it makes it a lot easier. If you're trying to do it by yourself, which I've tried, it's
Right,
without having the
okay.
support and stuff, it's so much harder. Yeah, people do get sober by themselves, but
Mm.
having a community and a fellowship has made it a lot easier for me.
Right, that's important. That's actually quite key because we had a podcast that would be coming out, and
Yeah.
it was about we talked about me finding my tribe in a way. So
Hmm.
it's about finding your own tribe where you belong, isn't
Yep.
it? And it doesn't have to necessarily be your own biological family.
No.
It can just be the people that are like minded.
Yeah.
They
And
understand you. Yeah.
like, I didn't wake up one day going, I want to be an alcoholic. But to find these people that have had similar, I can walk into a meeting and hear someone's story, and it's so relatable to my own path.
Mm.
So it gives you that connection
Yes.
of other people doing it. Yeah.
So, what about people watching this podcast that they're a family or a close friend of someone who's an addict? What advice would you give them to those people, for families and know people that are addicts?
Depending on how far the addict or alcoholic is down the line of their personal rock bottom, like, enabling is a big thing. Loved ones
Right.
and families, and I've had it myself, my family just wanting to help me but enabling me so I didn't get into recovery. It was giving me
Right.
money or whatever it
Yes.
might be. I think tough love's a big thing,
Mm.
and
Mm.
it took my family stepping back from me and going, look, we've done all we can
Mm.
and we're here to support you when you want to help yourself. That was a
Mm.
big thing for me. Yeah.
That's a hard thing for families to
Oh
do, isn't
yeah,
it?
yeah.
Huge. But in a way, they're loving you more.
Yeah, like I think it really, really broke my mum not being able to
Mm.
be there for me on the daily and stepping right back.
Yeah.
But then now I know she's proud of me and my journey and where I've come to today,
Yeah, I know she certainly is. I know
Yeah,
that. Yeah, very
yeah.
proud of you.
And it's taken a long time because I got,
Mm.
I got all their, hope and love back when I was in recovery last time. And then I picked up, went back out there for 3 years. So that now I'm sort of living in amends on a daily basis.
So it was a roller coaster for them as well.
Yeah. And, we do this 12-step program, and step 4 is making a list of people you've affected and hurt throughout your addiction.
Mm.
And then you go out and you make amends to these people, which I did in my last recovery, but then picked up, and it's like, well, was that all just broken promises? Or
Mm.
so, yeah, today I'm still doing my step work and everything, but on a daily basis, I'm making a living amends by not drinking or drugging today.
So, what help is there for families of addicts? Because I've met that as well. What help can they get?
There is a group called Al-Anon,
Yes.
and which is a 12-step program for the families of an
Mm.
Alateen, for the families and loved ones of the alcoholic or
Mm.
addict,
Mm.
and they can go to these groups, and that's where they find out the whole not enabling, and
Yes.
how to keep yourself safe and
Yes.
what you can do but not do too much.
Because codependence is a big part
It's
of
a
it.
huge part of it.
I
Yep.
knew I knew someone that was involved with an alcoholic,
Mm,
and I was so desperate at one point myself. And I stopped, and I saw me, I was in Peppertory,
yep.
and I actually went into a library. I thought, I can't handle this anymore, and I went into a library and I found a book about addiction and codependence, and when I opened it, I was like, I was reading her life, and it said if you're reading this book to help a friend who's a codependent of a alcoholic
Yep.
or an addict, you're also codependent. I was part of it.
You're part of the whole procedure. Yep.
Yes. And because I was enabling her to enable that.
Yeah.
It was interesting, wasn't it? So it was after that I sort of stood back a little bit.
Yep. You
Yeah.
do, and it would be hard,
It
very
is. It
hard.
is hard, but sometimes I've also noticed, and I've spoken to people that have been with alcoholics or addicts, is that the best love they can do is to step back and stop. Like, I know people that try to check up on them and
Mm,
try to look for their alcohol, and they make it worse.
yeah.
The checking up and everything, and
Yeah.
it makes it worse. And that by them standing back, it helps the addict.
Definitely. Yeah. Well, it makes him do something for themselves.
Makes them do something.
Yeah.
That's the absolute key, isn't
It
it?
is. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic. Do something for themselves, and then so if someone's listening to this, and they're an addict. We sort of talked about what can they do to overcome their challenges and what support's available for them. So someone might be watching this and just thinking, what can I do then? I'm listening to this. Where do I go? What do I do?
There's all sorts of organisations, like I suppose the CADs.
Yes. Yes,
Ca-
it's very good.
I
And
know a guy that
that's a
works.
family as well, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it is for
Yes.
family as well. But
Yes.
and then they do like moderate drinking and that sort of thing, which for the alcoholic doesn't work. They might say from your 4 bottles of wine a day, take it down to 2.
Right.
And an alcoholic doesn't work like that. If they're
Right.
drinking, they're
Is that
drinking.
kids?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that can be a big part of CADS. Whereas then there's the higher ground and the government funded things that I went through to start with.
Mm.
But the problem is in New Zealand, it's such a big lead time to get into these facilities. You
Mm.
know, people will ring and they're broken and they want help today,
Yes.
and it's a 3 month process to get
Mm.
into a facility like
Mm.
that.
Mm.
Whereas where I'm working now, because we're private, um, the clients do pay, but we can give them help today.
Right.
Yeah,
So that's something
that's something.
they
Yeah,
can go to. Or could they go to something like CADS in the meantime? Or
they can do. Yep.
right. And what about things like Lifeline and things like that?
Yeah, Lifeline and the suicide helpline, that sort of thing.
Yes.
I believe that we're lacking the support in New Zealand. Like you'll ring some of
Mm.
these lines and people will ring our 0800 number, and they've
Yes.
tried to ring these helplines and stuff and had no response or been put on hold for,
Mm.
I'll call you back tomorrow. And when people are
Mm.
reaching out for help, I think they want it right now.
Mm. They do want it right now.
Yeah, which, like, I work a night shift up at our facility at Warkworth, and I'll get calls at 2 and 3 in the morning from someone that's really struggling and broken, and just me picking up the phone and talking to them. I might not be able to get them into treatment, but sort of talking them off the ledge, being able to give them
Yes.
help right then and there
Mm.
is a big part. Knowing that there is
Well, there
support,
is these free numbers around, isn't there, that people
there
can
is. Yeah,
call?
yeah,
And what about doctors and GPs and things like that? Can that help?
it can do. Yeah, I think a lot of doctors will put you on a detox program.
Right.
But even if you do detox on diazepam or something like that for 5 to 7 days, it's not addressing the alcoholism. And as
Yes.
soon as they're feeling good again, they generally go back out and pick up straight
Mm.
away
Mm.
because they don't know what they're dealing with.
So what about for people that don't have any money? Like obviously someone helped to get into this private facility,
Mm,
so they just have to go through the waiting process.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
Mm.
But like Higher Ground, it's a 4 month program and it gets amazing results.
So that's a free program, is
It
it?
is a free government funded program.
Right.
Yep. But again, it's a 2 to 4 month lead to get in there.
Mm.
So they do have pre-treatment programs.
So the sooner they get onto it, the better it
So
is.
yep, yeah. But it is a process. Even to get into detox, you're looking at 4 weeks
Right.
through the government system.
Yeah, they just have to sort of. So could they just like breathe through that and just see hope at the end of the
Yeah,
tunnel?
and get to meetings and stuff if they can, you
So
know.
they can get to meetings anyway, even if they're not part of
Yep,
the program. They can
yep.
go to the meeting straight away.
You can go to all. The only requirement to go to a meeting is the desire to stop drinking or
So
drugging.
you don't. Oh, so
You
they could
don't
go.
have to be clean
Oh,
and
that's
sober.
good. So they can actually have no money,
Yep.
and they can't get to high ground or join a facility straight away,
Yes.
but they can go to meetings straight away.
Yep. And there's meetings throughout Auckland, all day, every day.
And where are the meetings again?
There's meetings everywhere. Like we've got 5 meetings in Warkworth weekly. There's meetings in
What's that
Oru.
called? What's it called?
If you just Google AA or NA meetings,
Okay, EAA and NA, so they can go to that. The first thing they can do is start going to the meetings. I think
yes,
that's really important.
yeah, and I think walking into a meeting, it's
There's no
hard.
waiting for that.
No waiting.
Yeah, yeah.
You can do it. Like I can leave here today and go to a lunchtime meeting,
Right, right.
and yeah, and then you've got that sort of people you can relate to.
So, but it can be hard going to your first meeting.
Can be, yeah.
So, what advice can you give to help with that?
Well, you can actually ring the AA number, and people will pick you up and take you to your first meeting.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
wow.
yeah, so there is
That makes
help
it all
there.
tingly, yeah.
And we do welcome people because we know how hard it is to get to a meeting.
Oh,
So the
wow.
newcomer is the most important person in the room, and we try and make them feel welcome
Yeah.
and a part of. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I think that's huge for people to hear that on this podcast because it gives them somewhere to go.
yes,
Because that's sort of, for me, it'd be like, oh, wow, I have to wait that long, I give up. But then go to a meeting, that will help them get until they get there.
yeah, that's right. Yep.
Yeah, fantastic. Okay, so I'm now going to ask you, this is called, what is your own spiritual truth? Because some people they might not be religious or they may not believe in what I believe in, but what's your individual spiritual truths? Or truths?
Yeah, I'm not really sure. Like, as I say, I wasn't born into a religion or anything like that. I think nature's a big part of my journey. I've always loved the outdoors, surfing, and that sort of thing. But at the moment in my journey, I think just passing on hope.
Oh,
Honestly, if I can give one person hope a day, I think I've served my purpose at the
and
moment.
wow, that's your spiritual truth and your purpose.
I hope so. Yeah.
No, it is.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. I love that.
It's taken me a long time to find what I was looking for, I suppose. But like going to work, we get so many people coming in broken, and they've been kicked out of home, they're at their rock bottom, and just to plant the seed of hope.
So it's quite rewarding.
Yeah,
And how does that affect you when you think you're actually helping someone they relapse?
it's a part of it. Like, we see it every
You
day.
don't judge that.
No, I try not to, no, because I've been there. And it must have been so frustrating for people around me seeing me get, 60 days or 6 months up and then going back out there. I did it multiple times. So it's down to the individual journey, but you can only support. Yeah,
I mean, and there'll be some people that you'll help and some people just choose not to, don't they?
that's right. Yep,
And it's actually their choice.
it
And we've all
is.
got free will.
Yep.
And that's really important. So, okay, so I've got a card here for you that I chose for my messages from spirit cards.
Yes.
So just so you know that these cards, I used to wake up in the morning, I still do, and I'll do some more cards further down the line. I heard spirit talking to me because I'm quite what you call clairaudient. I hear.
Mm-hmm.
So then I started writing them.
Yep.
And then decided to produce my own oracle cards, which are called messages from spirit.
So these are your cards.
These are my cards that I've written. So you've got number 40. So I don't know why if 40 is an important number for you, or what happened to you at 40, or how old? I don't know how old you are.
I'm 43, 44 in September.
So it might have been a change with you around 40. But anyway, I feel it's your grandmother coming through, and your grandfather as well. And she's saying, I'm so proud of you and all that you do. Keep on evolving the process. You cannot lose. Wow. I'm with you often. Please just know I'm here with you. You're never forgotten. I had to leave your earthly place to a new dimension where it's safe. I stay connected through our love. I show I care through signs I share. Love keeps us always together. I'm with you now and forever. So that's for you.
It's for me.
Yeah, from your grandmother.
Wow.
And I think she's also sorry that she hurt the family as well.
Right.
Yeah, through her own addictions and
Yeah.
yeah, because I think that she's aware of that now. Yeah, and I feel that sometimes because of that she couldn't always be bothered, if that makes sense. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
She couldn't always be bothered, but she always had a love for you as
Oh,
well.
always. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I don't know. I think she might have looked after you when you were younger as well.
She did, yes.
Yes. Yep. And she tells you to stay calm. And she also says that she used to put you on the swing.
I don't remember that.
Yeah. But she talks about the swing.
I was a crazy hyperactive child.
Yeah,
She
because she was
probably
very...
did anything to calm me
She
down.
did. But yeah, and that's what she said. She just said before she tried to keep you calm.
Right.
Yeah. And I also feel that you had also a grandfather. He was also quite practical, just like you are.
Right.
Yeah. And he tells me he's close to you as well. But I don't think he said a lot.
No.
Yeah. And he kept things to himself.
Man, a few words.
Man, a few words, but he's actually very proud of you. And I feel he's got a lot of hope for you. Cool. A lot of hope.
Yeah.
And something I want to give you from that card it talked about is someone called Christine. I don't know who Christine is.
Living?
Yes.
Yes.
Who's Christine?
It's a good friend of my mum's who actually helped me
Wow.
when I was completely broken and suicidal before I got into recovery this time round. She actually came and had a one-on-one with me and just gave me some hope.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so they know about that.
Oh, right.
Isn't that lovely? And they love you so much.
Cool.
So they want to give their blessings to you. Yeah, and I want to say also because of their love, and I also feel this whole thing about the evolving is really important too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so thank you so much, and I really appreciate your time and the information you've given me, sharing your journey, what you've gone through, and some tools that you've given, and where people can go to get help. So blessings and love to you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much, Kelly.
Thank you.
Thank you.